I'm James from Bike Lock Wiki, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Velo Mini, Velo's most secure U-lock. Destruction testing up first, and as always with our destruction testing, we start by dropping the lock 5 times from shoulder height, which is roughly 1.6 meters. This test is conducted to simulate a lock's resistance to the knocks and drops it will encounter over its lifetime. The Velo Mini picked up a few scratches to its outer housing, which is merely cosmetic damage and had no effect on the lock's overall performance. Lump hammer testing up next to see how well the lock resists heavy impact attacks, striking different areas of the lock up to a total of 10 times. Now I did manage to miss the lock on one of my attempts, so I gave it an extra hit which removed the last bit of the lock's plastic housing. As you can see, the lock's mechanism housing took some considerable denting and the majority of the outer plastic casing broke off, which is standard for any plastic parts with this test. Testing the Velo Mini, I was surprised to find that it was still working smoothly. Many other locks that I've tested fail at this stage, so it's impressive to see the Mini still going strong. Now for the 24-inch bolt cutter test. Thieves don't tend to use bolt cutters much larger than this on the street, as they become increasingly difficult to conceal the bigger they get. I normally continue this test for a maximum of 2 minutes, but from the start I could tell I wasn't going to make much progress. The rounded shackle of the Velo Mini meant that it ejected itself from the shackle each time I applied any force, and even when adjusted multiple times and held in place, the jaws of the bolt cutters were simply too small to have any effect on the lock. So I switched over to the biggest 42-inch bolt cutters to see if they could do any damage. As you can tell, these bolt cutters aren't typically used by thieves on the street because they're way too big for covert use. Now the jaws of the 42-inch bolt cutters easily encompass the Mini's 14mm shackle, but despite using my full body weight and the ground as leverage for 4 minutes, I was unable to inflict any serious damage. With the shackle's rubber casing removed, you can see that the 24-inch bolt cutters hardly even marked the hardened steel shackle, whereas the 42-inch bolt cutters made deeper notches into the shackle but didn't come close to cutting the lock. Up next, HSS or high-speed steel hacksaw testing, and after experiencing how well hardened the Mini shackle is during the bolt cutter testing, I wasn't expecting much here. Attaching a new blade to my hacksaw, I began attempting to cut the Mini shackle. After 2 minutes of cutting and adjusting the lock multiple times, I'd made virtually no progress and couldn't even cut the shackle using a notch made by the bolt cutter attack, showing the hardening process used by Velo is impressive and up to scratch. Finally, the tool that keeps us cyclists awake at night, the angle grinder. Now the Mini shackle was too small to secure in the vise, so I cut off a section of the shackle, allowing it to be held still when cutting. Using a new grinder disc, I cut the shackle 5 times to provide an average cutting time. Over the 5 cuts, the Velo Mini resisted for an average of 14.2 seconds. For comparison here, the Kryptonite New York Standard, another sold secure pedal cycle gold rated lock, averaged a cutting time of 15.7 seconds over 5 cuts. Considering the New York Standard has a 16mm thick shackle and retails at a considerably higher price than the 14mm Velo Mini, the Mini has performed very well here. Obviously, the results obtained from this testing are not comparable to how the locks would perform on the street if attacked by a thief. Instead, under more controlled lab conditions, we collect data which is comparable, allowing us to compare the performance of different lock models. Destruction testing to one side, let's take a look at the Velo Mini's features and characteristics. Now, as you can see, the Mini is available in a short and a long shackle version. The short version weighs around 977 grams or 2.15 pounds, which makes it over 100 grams lighter than the Kryptonite Evolution Mini 7, which offers the same sold secure pedal cycle gold security rating. Now the short version shackle is smaller than your average U-lock, measuring 8.9 by 14.5 centimeters or 3.5 by 5.7 inches. However, I found this to be more than enough room to secure my bike and its rear wheel to a bike rack. The long version weighs 1.28 kilos or 2.82 pounds, which is about average for a sold secure pedal cycle gold rated U-lock. And to help carry this extra weight, the long version comes with a clip-in mounting system, which we'll take a look at a little later. The internal shackle measurements of the Mini Long are 8.9 by 24.5 centimeters or 3.5 by 9.65 inches, offering increased length but the exact same shackle width. This means the long version is more suitable for securing multiple bikes. The Velo Mini's shackle measures 14mm thick and displayed very impressive resistance against my 24 and 42-inch bolt cutters. Additionally, the shackle is case and through hardened, making light work of shrugging off the HSS hacksaw. The Mini's shackle is secured by its quad-bolted locking mechanism, which is the same as we find on OnGuard's U-locks. This mechanism provides good resistance against twist and hydraulic attack and means 2 complete cuts are required through the shackle before a bike can be removed. The mechanism housing of either of these locks measures 2.75mm thick and prevented damage to the lock's internals during the hammer test. The mechanism housing is encapsulated by a high-quality plastic casing, which feels solid and doesn't mark easily, as we saw in the drop test. There's also a soft silicone pad that sits on top of the Mini's locking crossbar, preventing scratches and dents to your bike when locking up. As I briefly mentioned already, both variations of the Velo Mini received the Sold Secure Pedal Cycle Gold rating, which makes them suitable for securing bicycles for more extended periods of time in higher risk areas. Whilst the gold rating is impressive, if you're looking for a lock for an e-bike, I'd recommend a lock with a Sold Secure Powered Cycle rating, such as the A-Bus 54 Mini or the Kryptonite Forget About It Mini. As to be expected, both of these are considerably more expensive than the Velo Mini, but offer a good deal more protection for your bike. The Velo Mini Long is supplied with a plastic mounting system which works well compared to many other mounts I've used. However, as with most mounts supplied with cheaper bike locks, it does have a few downsides. The mounting rail on the Mini shackle doesn't really tighten enough to hold the lock completely still, meaning that it can move from side to side when riding. For this reason, you're restricted to mounting the lock facing down, so that gravity prevents it from turning and obstructing your pedaling when riding. Additionally, while the mount is made from a higher quality plastic than most others, it doesn't have a rubber inner lining, meaning it's likely to mark your bike's paintwork over time. If you don't want your bike to be scratched by the mount, simply cut and wrap a piece of old inner tube around your bike's frame, which will help to prevent the marking of your paintwork. The Velo Mini is supplied with 4 keys, which are coded, allowing more to be ordered if required. When you buy your lock, make sure to take a picture of this card so that you can easily locate the code should you ever need it. An automatic keyhole cover guards the Velo Mini's keyhole, preventing dirt and debris from easily entering the lock, reducing the amount of maintenance required. Now, apart from the small issues that we had with the mounting system, everything I've covered so far regarding the Velo Mini has been overwhelmingly positive, which might have left you wondering how it's so affordable. Well, the answer to this question is that compared to more premium locks, the Mini does use lower quality materials overall. These are likely to show signs of wear and tear, such as corrosion, faster than you'd see on a more premium lock. I left the shackle offcuts of the Velo Mini on my workbench over the weekend, and when I came back into the studio this afternoon, I was surprised to see that the shackle pieces were already showing obvious signs of rust. Now, this isn't a complete game over, but as with any cheaper bike lock, this will mean that the Velo Mini requires more regular cleaning and lubrication to prevent rust and corrosion in the long run. I have put together a separate video covering the bike lock maintenance essentials that all cyclists should be abiding by. If you want your lock to remain rust-free, this is definitely worth a watch. In terms of customer service, Velo offer customers in the US, UK, Canada and Europe a 90-day money-back guarantee and a 3-year warranty, which is nothing short of impressive. A 90-day money-back guarantee is something you won't normally find and shows that Velo stand behind the quality of their products. In terms of sustainability, Velo locks use very little plastic packaging and are supplied upon purchase in a brown cardboard box, which I accidentally recycled before shooting this video. However, as you can see, the promotional sleeve of the Velo Mini is also made from easily recyclable cardboard. I did reach out to Velo to see if they were doing anything else to improve the sustainability of their manufacturing, to which they replied that they were putting further processes in place to improve upon this. More can be done here, such as using renewable energy sources during manufacturing and recycling waste materials back into the production line. For anyone interested, I'll also be reviewing Velo's Pedal Cycle Silver Rated U-Lock soon, which I'll leave a link for over here. Have a watch to see how the silver rated version compares to the gold rated Mini. If you want to improve your bicycle security skills, subscribe to the channel down below to stay up to date with our latest releases. And as always, if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.